Hey guys, it's Isaac here with Saws from Scratch, and in today's video I'll be building this behemoth of a swing set from a couple of logs and some hardware. Let's get to it.
Okay, I got it.
The log that I used for the main beam of the swing set is from an elm tree. It's either Siberian elm or American elm. I was initially a bit apprehensive to use this log though because the entire length of one side of the log was covered in burls, and I didn't know how deep those burls would affect the figuring in the wood. I didn't want to waste super figured wood on an outdoor swing set if I didn't have to. Once I got the log cut open, I found that the wood did have some really cool looking figure in it. It reminds me of bird's eye maple. But thankfully all of the figured wood was preserved in the initial slab cuts I took getting down to the actual dimensions of the beam. In order for this beam to fit the hardware that I have, it needs to be a nominal 6x6, which means it's actually 5.5 inches by 5.5 inches. I think it's important to note that normally you would want to cut a beam like this and then either kiln dry it or stack it somewhere and give it quite a while to dry out. But I went ahead and used this beam more or less freshly cut as an experiment to see how the beam would respond to being used green. There are inherent risks to building with green lumber, and I'll have to regularly check and test this beam as it dries to make sure it doesn't develop any serious cracks or warp too much. I cut all of the legs for this swing set several months ago while I was only creating short form content, so the only footage I have of that is this vertically shot video, and this footage is really of only 2 of the legs I used for the swing. 2 of the posts from this log just had too much weight on them for what I wanted, so I only used 2 of these posts for this swing set. Unlike the beam, all of the legs have been drying out for several months, so they are about 15 to 20% moisture content, which is pretty typical for most construction lumber you would buy from the store. So they should be plenty stable for an outdoor swing set. So the hardware that I have here is 5.5 inches by 3.5 and 3.5. So the beam that I cut specifically for this swing set, I cut at 5.5 inches. So it fits that just nicely. But all of these posts that I had sitting around are all 4-inch actual. So I need to cut some shoulders on these, like I did a little test cut on this piece right here. Has some shoulders so that this piece can slide down over it and it will rest inside of there. So I need to go ahead and cut these up real quick. To make all of the shoulders, I just set the depth stop on the miter saw and made a whole bunch of cuts all along where the shoulder is supposed to be. All of the little wood strips left over will get smashed out with a hammer and then cleaned up with a chisel later. I really don't know if this is the best way of doing something like this. My dad mentioned I should do it with the router, but I didn't listen to that suggestion and kind of regretted that about halfway through making all these cuts. If you know a better way of cutting shoulders like these, I'd appreciate it if you let me know in the comments. The one good thing about cutting these shoulders with the miter saw was that at the end I could smash out the remaining wood with a hammer. That was really satisfying. I wanted the legs to be as long as possible, so they were all cut to the maximum length of whatever the shortest leg allowed. That length turned out to be just over 12 feet. I was able to cut the main beam to length using the miter saw as well, but it had to be flipped over to finish the cut since the saw wasn't big enough to cut it all in one go. I finished everything with this Cabot Clear outdoor sealer stuff. I've never used it before and I have no idea if it's any good, but I guess we'll find out. The directions say you only need to put on one coat of this sealer, so I went ahead and put on 2 coats. The seats are also made from elm, just like the rest of the swing. I had some 1.5 inch material laying around, so I just surfaced it and rounded out all the edges. I know that I'm using this router in a way that is a bit risky, but you can tell by the look on my face here that I've got my safety squints on, so I've at least taken some safety precautions into consideration. The bulb in the painter's lamp I was using went out right there, so I had to use a headlamp wrapped around the light stand for the rest of the night. The seats got the same treatment the rest of the swing did, with a double coating of this Cabot outdoor sealer. I'm pretty sure my dad purchased most of the hardware from Room to Zoom, which I believe has a website as well as a YouTube channel. The leg brackets were super easy to put on. We just drove a carriage bolt through the beam, tightened it down, and then put in 4 screws on each side.
Huh?
I genuinely don't know what we were thinking trying to pick this swing up with just me and my dad. We should have known as soon as we got it up to waist height that we weren't going to pick it up like this.
Going up? Yep. There's no way we're gonna. Okay, hold on. There's no way we're gonna. Okay, I got it. I got it. Yeah.
It's stuff this way. You want to come this way more.
Huh?
You got to come this way more.
Okay, I'm in the center. Don't. Help me. Help me. Come back down. Come back down. Let's go back down. We gotta figure out a better way. We have a backhoe. What are we doing?
The cross supports we added here did a great job at almost entirely removing any front to back movement in the swing. We chose to use rope to attach the swings because we thought the aesthetic worked well with the rest of the swing set and it was really cheap. One of the things that I really like about the brackets that we used for this swing is that they have such a wide angle on them. It makes it so the swing doesn't rock even when you swing on it as hard as you can, and you don't have to cement or dig the legs into the ground. Well, that's it, folks. If you like watching things get built from the log up, you should consider subscribing to this channel because that's what I do around here. Thanks for watching.